Oh, hey, welcome to another riveting edition of The Ghost and the Goat. I am your host, Buddy Thayer, and I'm happy to welcome you on this magical journey into the wonderful world of paranormal and the sporting world, if you will. Typically, it hasn't been a typically based show in about a couple months. My co-host, Bams, the Goat, if you will, sports guy, kind of interested in the paranormal, teams up with this paranormal guy who's like super interested in sports. I love sports. Been a Sox fan since I was a little boy. Since I was very little buddy. We got together and we did an hour of each. With Bams, has been on a health hiatus for the past couple months or so now. So while we wish Bams all the best of luck, I cannot ignore the wonderful world of sports and the there's a weaving, if you will. If you're a sports guy, if you're a sports girl, if you're a sports um binary or other, then you can appreciate the spookiness, the weird coincidences that sometimes occur in the sporting world that could be paranormal indeed. So before I bring on tonight's guest, we have a very special paranormal guy. He's a great guy. I haven't met him yet. I was actually at the same show he was a few months ago, and I'll be damned, I didn't. This is the one guy I should have run into and talked to, and I did. But I caught up with him later. I'm like, hey, dude, I gotta have you on my show, and here he is tonight. But anyway, before we bring him on, he's a paranormal investigator. He makes lovely and unique guitars, and he does a lot of other things. But before we get into that, and before we get into sports, a few unique updates. If you're tuning in tonight, hopefully you're doing so via the Get Haunted um, Paranormal Network page. There, they have all sorts of lovely shows. So not just my face, but you can see many other fantastic faces tonight and every night. Different paranormal content. Check it out. You can also comment in the chat room and tell me how awful I'm doing, or how wonderful I look, or how wonderful our guest is, or I don't know, whatever else you want to, like, a question you have for our guest tonight. Throw it in the chat room. Maybe I'll post it. I'll probably, honestly, I probably will post it. If you're checking us out on Facebook, you can see me on Facebook, but you might comment in the comments that I'm not responding. It's because I cannot see what you're saying mid-show. I'm trying to keep my attention on the guest and on the content, so I can only, my mind, I cannot split my mind. I'm looking at an open beer right now, and I'm like having trouble forming thoughts right now. So just chat room on Get Haunted, chat room on a van down by the Riv podcast. That's our podcast channel. You can check it out on YouTube. We have a page on Facebook. You can see us on Twitch. While you're on the YouTube channel, feel free to check out our other podcasts. This lovely show called Three Dudes Brews, which I have the absolute privilege to be a part of. We released episode 5 from what was it, Black Pond Brews out there in Dayville, Connecticut. But it's like, I say Dayville, Connecticut. I'm a Rhode Islander, and I know the Rhode Islander mentality. Anything more than 20 minutes, and people are like, "Oh, Connecticut! You get back all like Connecticut for beer, dude." It's Forster Plus. You drive into Forster, you're going through the woods a little bit, and next thing you know, you're in Connecticut, and bam, you hit Black Pond Brews, which is a really lovely place. They have about 12 delicious brews on draft, a bevy of cans. Really great guys down there. Really, really worthwhile taking it. And they have food. And they have, if you don't like beer, oh, I don't like beer. They have whiskey. They have scotch. They have rum. They have all sorts of good stuff. It's a full menu, full alcoholic menu. I highly recommend that you check out Black Pond Brews and check out Three Dudes Brews on the Van by the Riv podcast. So before I get into sports, before I get into the paranormal and the sporting world. Ooh, I don't know. All right, it's a few different things. It's presenting differently. It's more money, it's more problems. 10% alcohol by volume. That's all I have to say. So in the sporting world, this evening in about like 4 short minutes from the lovely city of New York, the New York Yankees, aka the Evil Empire, are going to host the Brooklyn Dodgers. They're going to host the LA Dodgers in Game 4 of a series that they're down 3-0. So the mighty New York Yankees are about to get swept in the World Series. This is such a I'm very excited. I'm very excited for tonight's show. And then by the time the show is over, it'd be like midway through the game. The Yankees will be losing. I can prepare to celebrate. This is not a paranormal feat at all. Winning in 4 games. This has been done many times. This has been done actually 21 times in baseball's history. Just as recently as 2012, when the Giants defeated the Tigers in 4 short games. My mighty Red Sox defeated the Rockies in 07 in 4 games. The Yankees have been involved in a numerous, 1, 2, 3, 4, several games throughout the 1920s and 30s, aka like the murderers row years of the Yankees, the most devastating lineup in baseball history. So many times it's been done, and now it's going to be done to the Yankees again, hopefully this evening. Um, the World Series thus far, Aaron Rodgers, I'll get to him in a minute. Aaron Judge, somebody give this man a bat. I don't think he's going out there with a bat. He's gotten 1 hit in 12 at bats. 1 hit. One of the greatest players in baseball today. 1 hit in 12 at bats. Dude, what are you doing? 6'7". How are you missing that thing? The man of the series, though, is none other than Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman has he's the 3rd player in World Series history to homer in each of the first 3 games of the series, joining, ironically enough, Hank Bauer of the New York Yankees in 1958 and Barry Bonds before he started juicing in 2002. Dating back to his time in Atlanta, Freeman has now gone deep, i.e., he's hitting home runs, in the first 5 World Series games, tying George Springer, who did it with the Astros for the all-time record. No player has homered in every single game of a World Series, and only Springer has done it so far in 4 straight games of the same fall classic. Again, Aaron Judge 1-12. And the Yankees in Game 3, they had a guy. What was his name? Oh God. He was rounded Stin. He was rounded third. And he's just like doing a casual jog. He was jogging to home. Third baseman's waving him on like a go, go, go. He's like dum 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 dum. Like on a morning jog, dude. You're down 2 games at this point. You're getting your ass kicked. Maybe a little bit more effort. I don't know. Call me crazy. It is always good to see the Yankees go down. I got to turn myself down a little bit. Oh, it's coming through a little bit loud there. Okay, I hope that's better. If not, well then, I digress. So yeah, they're down 3-0, and it's really, really awesome to see. I hope the Yankees lose this evening, and if they don't, I hope they lose the following outing. I hope LA they hold out, just hold out for 1 game, go home and win in LA. If not, the New York City streets are going to be lit up like a Christmas tree in New Bedford this evening, because it's going to be riots on the streets of the Bronx at very least, and that's how their fans, say that, hey, this is not cool, New York. You gotta actually do better. But good for them for losing. Speaking of losing, my Miami Dolphins continue to lose, as we almost won this week. We brought back our quarterback to it. Tego, I can't even pronounce his last name. After his 74th concussion in 3 years, and he decided to keep on going and keep on playing. Thank you to it, because dude, we have gone through every other quarterback option. And our fourth number 4 quarterback went down the week before. Dude, it's looked horrible. We needed a refresh. We needed life breathed back in us. And while you marched us down the field several times, and you ran up the scoreboard very well, in the end, the defense totally ate a big one, and we lost in the final seconds to the Arizona Cardinals. Shit happens. Hence the Miami Dolphins. On Thursday evening, October 31st, the Houston Texans are going to go trick or treating in New Jersey, and they're gonna take like the best team on paper. I've said it week to week. Aaron Rodgers is trash. There's nothing special about Aaron Rodgers. He won 1 Super Bowl. Granted, it's 1 more Super Bowl more than my Dolphins have won, but dude, you guys continue. You got beat by the worst team in football, the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots actually looked good after May went down against one of the better defenses, or allegedly, in the NFL. The GM, coach, and quarterback Aaron Rodgers brought in Devontae Adams, who he has a ton of experience with throwing touchdowns with when they played in Green Bay, and they really couldn't do anything at all against the mighty, not so mighty New England Patriots. Which, for me, it's wonderful to see the Jets continue to go down as the New York Yankees. So it's always fun to see. I'm going to say pick Houston. I won 12 games last week. Pick Houston. Just on the money line. I wouldn't play around with the points because God knows CJ Stroud has been and the season, and they just lost with Stephon Diggs. He's out for the year, so I'd still pick Houston. One team I wouldn't pick ever is the Dallas Cowboys. Another team I look forward to them losing week after week because they're just a trash organization, and they're traveling to Atlanta, which is a really good football team. While the Falcons lost a good one last week against Tampa Bay, their division rival. Look for the Falcons. Look for the Dirty Birds to rebound and fly high and take a poop on Jerry Jones's head, and I look forward to seeing that at 1:00 on Sunday afternoon. I would pick Atlanta all day. My Miami Dolphins. Let me just tell you this. So I spent nearly $400 a few weeks ago, probably about a month ago, and purchased a ticket so I could go and see my Miami Dolphins travel to why I did it when they had the shittiest at their worst point ever. I bought the ticket. I'm like, yeah, this be great. I have a few friends that live out in Gowanda. They've been Gowanda. So Gowanda's a small town like south of Buffalo, maybe like an hour south. Harry and Nicole, they're going to take me in. They're going to feed me. They're going to clothe me. They're going to take me. We're going to go to Orchard Park together, and together we will watch the Buffalo Bills absolutely crucify the Miami Dolphins in yet another matchup. Tua, in his this is I think this is 5 years. This is his 5th year in the NFL. He was terrible the first 3 years. He's gotten better, but he's got one win against the Buffalo Bills, and the lack of play that's been in Miami for the entirety of the season is just like just a giant swift kick to the lower section. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to pick Miami because I believe in miracles and the paranormal. And you never know. Any given Sunday, the ghost of Dan Marino, who's not even dead yet, will come and like lead us to victory against Buffalo in Buffalo and totally give me all the shit talking rights for at least a week or two. But I'm going to pick Miami. But if I was a bet man, I would pick Buffalo all day because Buffalo is going to dominate the Dolphins. Let's be realistic here. Speaking of being dominated, the Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Cincinnati. Cincinnati got beat by the Patriots. Las Vegas, yeah, I don't. They're not good either. Tom Brady. Speaking of the Patriots, Tom Brady is like a 5% owner of the Raiders now. I don't think that even matters. I'm going to pick Cincinnati just because they're the worst of two evils. Cincinnati has an offense. They just don't have a defense. So, Cincinnati. The LA Chargers travel to the Cleveland Browns. I have talked garbage almost as much about the New Jersey Jets as I have the Cleveland Browns this year, who lost their starting quarterback, Deshaun Watson, not the man of the year at all. He wasn't even the man of the year last year, the year before that. He's not really upstanding member of the society at all. He's kind of what we would call a dirtbag. He went down, ironically enough, and his home crowd chanted, "You deserve it, you deserve it," as he was carted off the field with a season and a half ending injury. Good for you, Deshaun Watson. Good for you for the Cleveland Browns, too. They came alive and defeated the Baltimore Ravens last week, who are like, that was like the holy shit moment of the week for me because Baltimore is like a dominant team and Cleveland dominates nothing but maybe the toilet bowl. And they came alive and they beat the Ravens. And then the LA Chargers, they haven't been able to score many touchdowns. A lot of their games have been like field goal runs. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Cleveland. Cleveland, pick the Browns to beat the Chargers this week. That's all I gotta say. New England Patriots, the worst team in football, traveled to Tennessee, who is also a terrible football team. Drake May is out with a concussion protocol, so you probably won't see him again until I don't know, like the end of the season. Brissett Well, he came to life last week, and he led the Patriots to victory over the Jets. He's not that great, so I don't. I'm gonna say pick Tennessee. Maybe pick Tennessee. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just pick Tennessee. The next game actually is a little bit more interesting. Denver Broncos, who are starting to win some football games. Bo Nix, their rookie quarterback, is doing some things. He's looking all right. They travel to Baltimore to play a team that was defeated by the Browns last week, as I just said. Their defense is starting to not look so great anymore. Their offense is still stellar. So I don't know. Lamar's probably gonna be embarrassed and pissed off at the same time at a home game. They're gonna, yeah, I'd pick Baltimore all day. I'm sorry, Denver. You're not gonna. John Elway's not gonna do nothing for you. Washington Commanders have looked on fire. Speaking of rookie quarterbacks, Jalen Daniels took what he was doing in LSU and just brought it to Washington. He's doing the same thing there. He threw that miracle Hail Mary, which never ever works. I'm like, why are you throwing the ball downfield like that? It never works. It worked. And they scored the game-winning touchdown last week, which against another rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears, who was like labeled by ESPN and all these sports writers to be the next coming of Tom Brady or Dan Marino or I don't know someone, and I don't know, he plays for the Bears, so he's not going to be. So yeah, pick Washington. I digress. The New Jersey Giants are not a good team. The New Orleans Saints traveled to Carolina to play another team. New Orleans is themselves, but if David Carr comes back this week, I would pick the Saints. If not, it's too early to know if he's playing or not. Excuse me. I'm a little runny, and Carolina's not really that great, but I'd go New Orleans either way because Carolina's not that great. Jacksonville, speaking of not that great, is traveling to Philly, while Jacksonville almost overcame the Green Bay Packers after Jordan Love went down. I was like, wow, they came close, but fumbles and turnovers and penalties and bad play and Trevor Lawrence. It didn't. They folded up. They're going to fold up this week against the Eagles. They started off a little slow. Nick Sirianni was yelling at fans, but now they're starting to win a few more games and they're looking a little bit better. So pick the Eagles all day. Chicago and Caleb Williams, who I was just speaking of, travels to Arizona. That's going to be a good game, I think, because Chicago's got a decent offense. Arizona has a decent offense. I don't know. I'm gonna go Arizona because I like Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's got something there. That kid. Go Arizona. I don't know. Maybe Chicago. I don't know. Go with your gut. The best team in the NFC, the Detroit Lions, they are devastating everybody, and they're going to take the devastation and take the NFC North completely by control and destroy the Green Bay Packers. I don't know if Jordan Love is playing this week. He's been kind of shaky himself lately. Been throwing like 3-4 interceptions a game. Dude, if you're turning over the ball and you're not scoring, you cannot match the might of the Detroit Lions. This is like the best team they've ever been. They're scoring like over 40 points, over 50 points in some games in more than one game this year. So yeah, Detroit all day. The LA Rams finally came to life as they got Cooper Kupp and Nakua Pua. I don't know his name. He's a really good, however you pronounce his name. The kid can catch balls, and so can Cooper Kupp. And Matthew Stafford is one of the best ball slingers in the last 15 years of football, despite only having one ring like Aaron Rodgers. And I think he's better than Aaron Rodgers. I think. Yeah, all right, never mind. I'm not gonna make a Aaron Rodgers comparison list, but pick the Rams. I think the Seattle Seahawks got destroyed by Buffalo last week, and I think they're gonna take another ass beating at home. The Rams, I think they're gonna come to life, and this is a divisional matchup, so this should be a good one. What's not gonna be a good one is the Indianapolis Colts are going to Minnesota. Minnesota is going to dominate the Colts. The Colts bench their starting quarterback. I think the second time this year, Richardson, he's sitting for Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's great. Joe Flacco, I think, almost won the game last week. But yeah, Minnesota's got a really good defense, and yeah, they're not. Pick Minnesota. No need to say more. The Monday night game is probably the game of the week. I would say, although Not really anymore because Tampa Bay lost Mike Evans, and this was on Jeopardy, the Final Jeopardy. What's that guy's name? I can't remember the other wide receiver. It will come to me at like 5 minutes after the show ends, and they're traveling. They're taking the show on the road to play Taylor Swift and the Kansas City Chiefs, who, if they weren't already looking really super dominant this year in the NFL, and because of their undefeated record, they just recently added um, DeAndre Hopkins, who this guy was like a beast for Houston. He played for Arizona for a few years. He's been kind of quiet the last few years, but he hasn't won. He hasn't been on a team that's been like really good. When he was with Houston, they weren't like really good. And this guy wants a ring before he retires, so he's gonna go to Kansas City. They're gonna go like 3-4 Pete. They're gonna be like we're gonna see Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes in the same conversation. But pick Kansas City either way. That's really all I got with sports, I think. So, I can't. Oh, is Jim here? Jim? No, Jim's not here yet. So that's not all I have with sports. Jim, if you're watching, please do go ahead and sign on now. I'm gonna reach out to you via text, and you can check out the score and oh god, hold on, give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves, and I will see Jim. Where art thou? Ready to go. Jim, where are you? Come on, Jim. Come on. Come on, Jim. Come on, dude. Please hold your call is important to us. So yeah, I'm taking a little road trip while we wait for Big Jim to come on. I'm taking a little road trip. I live in Rhode Island. I'm driving up to the Buffalo region of the country to see my Miami Dolphins. They have it. They have a good. They could do it. They could beat them, but I don't think they will. And I'm going to be thankful if I'm able to drink some good beers, have some good buffalo wings, because they were originated up in Buffalo, and Buffalo has some of the finest buffalo wings. Get around to the local breweries. Give me a link to work. Oh, okay, Jim. Hold on a second. I got to send Jim a link for this, and I'm hoping to have some really good beer. There's a good brewery in Gowanda, in the city that I'm staying in. So I hope to try out some of that. It's GOWAND. I hope to try out some of their really good beers. I don't know. I'm just trying to send Jim a link right now. So our guest this evening, Big Jim Jones. If you know him, he's a swell fella. Hopefully, we're able to talk a whole lot more about what kind of a swell fella he is. Sent him a link. There you go, Jim. All right. Hopefully that works for Jim. I'll talk a little bit about our guest tonight as we're waiting for him to come on. I'm just kind of reading some. Wait, here we go. Love that the all right. So let's talk about this. Love that the Browns beat the. I loved that the Browns beat the Ravens, because it's like the little guy who's terrible and he doesn't play really well and he sucked all year. He went and beat up on the Ravens. My guest tonight is from Maryland, so I don't know if he's a sports fan, but oh my god, if he is, the Baltimore Ravens are like a stellar team, and for the Browns of all teams to go in there and just light them up, that's just phenomenal. And oh god, here we go. Unfortunately, Laurie's a Kansas City Chiefs fan for over 50 years. Well, good for you, Laurie. You know what? I rooted for the Chiefs when they were facing the Patriots years ago, and the Patriots were more the dominant team, and Andy Reid had just taken over, and Patty Mahomes was like a kid, and they were just trying to win a game or two. I rooted for them then. I had some. I had a guy that I used to be friends with. So I used to work with him, and he was a Chiefs fan, and I was a Dolphins fan, and the Chiefs were a terrible team. I mean, they were good. They always had that. They always had it. They had what's his name, Alex Smith, and they had what's that guy's name, Joe Montana. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of him. They had some really good teams for a while, but they never really put it all together until recently. Now they put it together so much they're like cliche, and it's getting absolutely sickening. Oop! I heard a boop. I'm seeing Big Jim Jones, but I don't see Big Jim Jones's face. Jim, hook up your video if you can, your camera for your face, and maybe your yeah. So as we're waiting for Jim to come on, and then the whole Taylor Swift thing. Now she's a lovely girl, and I'm sure she makes great music. I'm not really a country guy myself. I'm sorry if you all are, but more of a rock and roll. I do like hip hop, 90s, all that stuff. But she can date whoever she wants. Jim bounced out. Hopefully, Jim come back in. Oh man, it's over. It's just too much. The NFL throws it in your face, and I get why. Marketing, 10-year-olds. Oh, I see him. Okay, I'm seeing him. Oh, he's making faces. I can see him. All right. So I'll stop talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. Laurie, hopefully your Chiefs do well. I hope they don't 2-peat, 3-peat, whatever peat it is. We need more diversity in the NFL. And that's like these guys. These guys need to win a Super Bowl. Not that way. They won't win a game, but maybe they will. So tonight's guest, holy Jesus Christmas. He, like I said, he emanates from the lovely state of Maryland. He is the founder and chief investigator for PRISMed, the Paranormal Research and Investigation Society of Maryland, based in Catonsville, Maryland. Jim is a 29-year career Maryland law enforcement officer and uses policies and procedures he learned to apply to the paranormal investigating. That's pretty interesting. I'd like to explore that a little bit more. Jim also has his own business building cigar box guitars. He is known as the Ghost Hunting Guitar Builder. Jim is an avid historian, photographer, videographer, and cemetery preservationist, as am I. That is absolutely phenomenal. Welcome to the show, Big Jim Jones. How you doing, Jim?
Hey, thank you. Hey, so far so good. Thank you for having me on, buddy. Appreciate it.
You're clear. I can see you. I can hear you. Good times. So, Jim, you've been building guitars out of cigar boxes. I've seen some of the stuff that you've done online, and it's unique, it's cool, it's artsy. How long have you been doing that for?
Oh, I've been doing that off and on since about 1981. Used to go into my local guitar shop's dumpster and recover a lot of their thrown away guitars and that, and would use different things. My mother was originally from West Virginia, so in the South, they couldn't afford to actually even get a used guitar like out of a catalog somewhere or at a pawn shop. So they had to make do with what they had. Now, if you're familiar with Bo Diddley, who was a big blues guitarist, you notice that the guitar he plays is a square guitar. Well, it was actually reminiscent of his very first guitar that he had, which was a broomstick through a cigar box, and the twine or the binding on the broom itself, holding the straw in place. That's either 3 or 4 strings would be the amount of wire that they use, and the friction tuners were basically wooden clothespins.
Oh,
So
wow.
the bow diddley is a diddley bow. It's one string. 2 strings are chuggers, and then you have 3 or 4 string where you can have up to 12 strings. It depends on the kind of wood that you use and things of that nature.
Wow. And I take it you play. Yeah, you probably play guitar. Yeah. I have pictures of you playing guitar, so I imagine you play.
Yeah,
Just holding it. Yeah. That's awesome. How long have you been
got a
playing for,
bunch of
Jim?
the old ones behind me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. How long
Oh,
have you been playing for?
it's been blast.
Yeah.
I've been playing for over 40 years. My father, he used to work for Spring Grove State Hospital here in
Wow.
Gatesville, which is right down about a half mile from here. Both my parents worked there. My father, he used to
say
he used to also take and play guitar on the side.
Yep. You say state hospital. Do you mean like mental illness, or do you mean like sickness, like tuberculosis, or what? Yeah.
Oh, it's Spring Grove State Hospital is the second oldest continuously operating psychiatric hospital in the United States. It's about 34 acres. Actually, if you go onto YouTube and actually look up a bridge over 5 days, an episode of Route 66 that was filmed there at Spring Grove, and as you see Martin Milner and George Maharis bringing Nina Fox back to Spring Grove, you'll see like almost a cobblestone building. You'll see a group of nurses as they come up to a roundabout going to the old main building, which was torn down in 1964. Well, that's known as the Foster Way building. That's there. My mother was actually one of the extras in her nurse's uniform. She was a LPN dietary supervisor for 22 years, and she got a free lunch. She got a picture taken with Martin Milner and George Maharis back at the time.
Oh wow.
I think it was back in like '63 or something. I think when it was filmed, and so it was just before they did a lot of work down there, and also in that same building, that was where they filmed Silence of the Lambs when Clarice meets Hannibal for the first time,
Yep.
and when the guy says "blood of God" and he throws this stuff all over over Clarice. Well, that was actually filmed in the sub basement, and parts
Mhm.
of that set is still down there underneath a bunch of mud. Hadn't been down there for many years, but they had it written in the contract with state of Maryland that they couldn't put in the closing credits where they filmed. So they said it was filmed in Pittsburgh at the old
Oh
Dixmont
wow.
State
Oh,
Hospital,
no
but it was
shit.
actually filmed in Catonsville. And also the Spring Grove the Spring Grove State Hospital used to do a lot of LSD experiments. Actually,
Mhm.
the CBS reports from 1966, Charles Kuralt was here, and they focused on two individuals that was subjected to LSD experiments.
Oh boy. Oh wow.
But yeah, that was pretty heavy stuff there. Been through the
Mhm.
tunnels there as a kid, getting a lot of the water bugs and stuff from my bug collection for elementary school,
Boy,
and
I bet.
I mean the baseball is played there. Actually, underneath there's 1,500 bodies buried there.
Mhm.
And back in 2019, we were able to get a new headstone for one of the patients buried there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, but
That's cool.
unfortunately, it's going to be turned. It's being turned over to the University of Baltimore County um, University. There is going to take it over, and
Mhm.
they're going to be. I don't know what they're going to do with the buildings or what's going to happen with the ball field or the cemetery itself. So, yeah, yeah. People say I'm crazy. Absolutely, I've been there.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be. But I might, dude. I've worked in mental illness for mental health for 25 years now. I worked in a state hospital, Bridgewater State Hospital in Massachusetts. Um, wow, seeing some like wow, like human and like just weird, stuff there.
The lobotomies, if
Yeah,
people
yeah,
had all that type of thing. I mean, especially with the shock treatments back in the day, it was
yeah.
nothing in the
ECT.
'70s to see a lot of these patients that had that.
I am a proponent nowadays for it's called ECT now. They don't really call it shock. It's a little bit more scientific these days, but I've seen like some tremendous. It's not as archaic as people think it is. It's sedating somebody and shocking their brain, and it almost resets it when somebody has been through every medication, every treatment, and nothing has worked, and they have profound bipolar disorder that can't be touched. Shock therapy will like just reset somebody like completely. It's amazing.
Hmm.
Um, and like deep psychosis, it will just like snap somebody right out of it. I mean, not that they're like perfect or that they're well functioning human beings afterwards. There are some still effects and stuff, but I'm a proponent for that.
Hmm.
Indeed, I've seen it multiple times. Work on multiple individuals who are just like gone, psychologically, and somewhat were able to come back. Not really 100%, but I mean, it's definitely something to it. People have these like archaic notions of ECT because of the old movies and and some of the things that people actually did to other people up until about 50, 60 years ago when the law said no, you can't do that anymore. So, but there is it's a thing. It does. Just fishing that out there. I want to get back to guitars really quick before we move on to all the dark and awful and nasty negative things about the paranormal. So, top three guitar players of all time. Go.
It's been. I'm sorry, I'm having some feedback problems. I don't know
Uh,
whether it might be by the
Okay,
phone or on your end.
your
I'm sorry about that, buddy.
that's fine. Your top three guitar players of all time.
I well, the guitarist, as far as that's concerned, being building that, it's basically a sideline, kind of a hobby turned into a business.
Yeah.
It's not like me running prison and that where I'm actually physically, having to be over a bunch of people. I mean, I'm setting things up when I'm actually after I'm retired from my main job. Um, yeah, I was actually on patrol last night, matter of fact.
Oh
So,
wow.
um, it's been interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, getting into a lot of this, like when you build these things, it's a labor of love. there's no rules in any of doing this. Not like with a six string where you have to do X bracing or rip bracing in a guitar. It kind of like followed my passion. My father
Yep.
used to play when he wasn't working at the Grove. He filled in for, it was called Happy Johnny. It used to be on WBAL. It was a country western show.
Yep.
Happy Johnny was actually a patient of Spring Grove. So my father would drive him to the station. He would perform, and if they needed a backup guitarist or the main guitarist wasn't able to play, my father got it and picked up the guitar and went in there and did everything there.
Nice.
I kind of picked up a little bit on that side. I can't read sheet music, but
Really?
I can pick everything by hearing, even as bad as my hearing is.
Yep.
But
so who is your number one? Who is your favorite? Did you get that? Oh boy. Who is your favorite? Who is your favorite guitar? Do you have a favorite guitar player?
Well, I would have to say one of my favorites is probably Neil Schon. I mean, the guy. I mean, just the work that he did with Jan Hammer. Here to Stay, one of my favorite albums. It was during the switch over with some of the end of the Journey side with Steve Perry and that. But I did grow up and went to school with a famous guitarist everyone knows about. If you ever heard of Danzig, and the lead guitarist is John Christ. Well, his real name is John Knoll, and he and I actually went to school together back 41 years ago. We graduated from Catonsville High School, and we had a reunion, 40th reunion last year, and he got to sign one of my bills that I actually debuted during the Catonsville Independence Day Parade, which is hanging on the side of the shop there for me. Plus, I have another one that he was always a practical joker. He was one that he signed the front of it from the class of '83, which was our actual class. And on the back, he did one to my fellow graduate of 1993. I'm like, dude, you can't take 10 years off on all of us, and which was pretty cool. But hearing Mother, you could hear that that's definitely John Knoll that I've known from, for 40 some years. But sorry, John, but Neil Schon was the one that really kind of, he took it to different limits. He tried different things. Jimmy Page. I mean, another one that I did. Mark Knopfler is some of my favorites. Jazz wise, Barney Kessel is one. He's an old timer from back in the 30s, 40s. Tommy Garrett on the acoustic guitar. I mean, he's one of the premier guys working those things.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Jim. So
hopefully everybody works out.
All right. We clear? Are we good?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? All right. I'm sorry. I blipped out for a second.
I can hear you now. It kind of goes in and out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I versus the internet every week, and it's absolutely terrible. Usually the internet wins. So paranormal investigating. How'd you fall into that? Is it through? Did it come through the state hospital? Did it come through your experiences at go ahead.
It's personal experiences what happened with me. There was it was back in 1973, August 1973 is when my father and I had found my grandfather in the basement of one of the oldest houses here in Catonsville. Yep. Richard Caton was the one that founded Catonsville. He was the son-in-law of one of the Declaration of Independence and also the Constitution from Maryland signers, Charles Carroll. And it was originally his carriage house, the center section.
Yep.
And my grandfather was a carpenter up until the day he died. But anyway, we found it was the first time I ever seen anybody dead. And we found in the basement that he He had a massive heart attack. We went up there, and it was 9 Newburgh Avenue in Catonsville. And I'll actually do a YouTube video of it, or I can do it on Facebook. I'll put it up on my profile later on.
Yep.
So it was 9 days before, and then 9 days after his passing, there was a knocking on the same set of stairs that he had been working on for years. He always kind of a perfectionist. They used to use the square nails to hold the treads of going up the staircase and going up to the main bedroom. And so I remember when going up there, I was up there with my grandmother. I was in the room opposite from where she was. And it was right about 10 minutes to midnight, we would hear this nailing or this hammering. And then it would stop. Well, it was the same place. He would go back there. If it creaked, he went back and he'd keep pounding it down. Well, that's what was going on. But this happened over those 9 days. So there was another instance which was about 6 years later. This is just before my grandmother passed. There were 2 dormers up in the attic, and that was where I went up there, and she wanted me to close the doors because we used plastic over the stairs going up into the attic for insulation for the wintertime. Well, this is already started towards. This wasn't that far from Halloween, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I remember going up. I had a plan. I'm going to go up by myself. Here I'm 15 years old. I'm scaling these stairs. Have a plan. I'm going to go to the furthest door first, slam that shut, come back, get to the closest one, and then get the hell out of Dodge. Pardon the French.
Right. Oh, yeah, right.
Well, I go over there. And I close the door, and we still had ambient light through there. Now this is probably about I would say about 4:30 or so. I went over. Go to close the door at the closest one to the stairs. It was pitch black. Couldn't see anything, but I knew there was a window there. I get a hold of the doorknob. I'm going to pull the door closed, and whatever was in front of it, it shifted. Now you didn't hear any of the any footsteps, nothing like that. I saw the shadow figure move, went right behind where was a pile of toys. No noise. Well, let me tell you something. All I heard was my heartbeat, the slam of the door, and I'm jumping from landing to landing. And I got down to where my grandmother was in the kitchen because the whole house is kind of juxtaposed with different levels.
Yep.
And so I got down there. I was kind of out of breath. My grandmother goes, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, I just kind of like, I couldn't get my words out. She says, "You saw it, didn't you?" "What did I see, Grandma?" She couldn't answer it. Well, needless to say, it was about 2 days before Thanksgiving is when she passed. Less than a month later.
Oh, wow.
So I saw that. I've seen a couple things here, even my house. The original owner of my house and my mother had passed here. I was actually holding on to her when she passed from cancer.
Oh.
And there's different things. I'm sitting there watching TV in my living room, and I have an archway that which you go into from the living room to the dining room and kind of make a left turn and go into the kitchen. Well, there was a woman that was probably in a 1950s dress, hopped out, and just kind of like looked through the archway this way. I look up and it's like, "Okay, you do okay." It steps back. I still have the chair she died in. She had a wicker rocker. It was left behind, and
Wow.
I actually played with her great grandchildren. When I was growing up. So I mean, her grandson was around the corner from me. I have her death notice, and then of course my mother and that. I've heard my father here in the house coughing. We sound some, and it's been happening. Actually, my dogs. I mean, I've got several dogs buried on the property, and one it was my first shepherd. He always beat you to bed, and what he would do is he was kind of like, "Okay, it's my turn." He gets at the foot of the bed, and he would kind of like they do like a half circle, and then they would lay down.
Yep.
Well, it wasn't too long after that. It was me and my first wife actually had this happen, and sure enough, she's like, she was saying something to my second shepherd about like get off the bed, and he's up there like sitting next to her, like, "What are you talking about?" But it was Joe, my first one, that got up there. So we've had different things that's happened here in this house, and it's nothing negative,
No.
except that
Yeah.
we had one instance on the property where we actually had stuff come from the Grove when my father was working down there,
Hmm.
and we had a big blizzard here in '79. It was the year that he retired in the latter in the part of the summer. Um, coming back, and he had done from Sunday night until Tuesday night straight through
Hmm.
running the snowplows. And he gets home, whatever there was. Then we kept hearing footsteps up on the wooden front porch, back
Hmm.
and forth. Look out there, there's nobody. And it was like pacing, like somebody was anxious to go somewhere.
Yep.
But that night, the noise kept going back and forth until when he got ready to go back to work on Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
So what's the say, you know?
Yeah, right. I've had that experience myself. What's that feeling like, Jim? I know what that experience is like, but what's that feeling like for you when you know you're the only person in the building and you can hear somebody walk up the stairs and walk upstairs around what's going through your mind when you experience something? Do you go ghost right away? Do you say, "Oh, I have an intruder"? Where are your thoughts lie? What do you go to?
Well, the cop in me.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
right. Well,
you
nothing new.
get the
Yeah,
10-year-old that got the living snot scared out of him on a constellation, but then there's also the the part that with me that the cop comes out. It's just got you have to go running towards it. It's just
right.
like going into a burning building. You're going to find out what's going on. You want to get to those. You want to get to the answer. You want to find out if there's anything there or not. And
Yep.
me, I'm just kind of like, I guess some people say it's hypervigilance. It's not. It's not. It's more of deductive reasoning because you
Yeah,
want to
right,
narrow things down to find out what's actually going on.
right.
Especially if you're going to do an investigation. You want to do a thorough one, and it's basically you're the Joe Friday, and you want to separate the wheat from the chaff. Just the facts,
Hmm.
man. That's basically what it is.
Right.
And yeah, I do go running after things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I worked in a group home for children, and before I even started really doing this stuff, I remember hearing like footsteps going up the stairs and people walking around in offices that were locked. It was just me and those kids. I'm like, is somebody in the house or is it one of those kids? And you go upstairs and you unlock the doors and there's nobody there, but you heard footsteps going up the stairs. That's one of those like, oh shit moment. And I turn around and go back downstairs. But I hope I'm coming through okay. Um in your group, in your prisms, or prism in your paranormal team, you guys do a lot of residential cases? You go into people's houses? Are you in more historical locations? I know you got a bevy of choices down there in Maryland to choose from. What's your forte?
Well, we do everything from businesses. We do private residences. The whole gambit. If anybody comes to us, we do everything with professionalism, and we also keep everything confidential.
Of course.
That's the main thing because even today there's a type of stigma that goes along with that.
Of course there is.
Um,
Yeah.
Trying to work with many of these people. I mean, where they're we go through the whole spectrum of things.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's been part of the core. I mean, it's like just like when you do in law enforcement. I mean, you're just going to go in there and try to find out what's going on. You want to collect your data, and you want to be able to take and you either reaffirm or actually deny what some of the claims might be.
Right. Right. As an investigator, how many times have you gone in somewhere and found out it was just the person's own mental health that wasn't stable? Has that ever happened?
He broke up there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, my internet's shifty. In your
I think
years
mine.
your years of investigating, have you no, are you hearing me? Have you run across anybody that said they had ghosts and were just like you found out they were mentally ill? Is that something that happens a lot or down there? Mm,
I've been getting everywhere. I'm sorry, buddy. I mean, he's this internet connection. I guess probably my house too is probably the same thing.
it's
But
all right.
it,
It's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Talk, Jim. Talk to me
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
about your
Yeah,
about Talk to me about your investigations. Talk to me about some of your best stuff. What's some of the most like wow
Oh,
moments as an investigator? Tell me.
well, there's been some things. There was an investigation which we did near Annapolis. This is not the one that you saw on the haunted, but this is the one that we had done for a private resident. A lot of groups were making fun of her because she would show up. She would say to the boss, these beings come to my house and they show half the country on fire, half of it underwater, and nobody would ever take and actually go to her house and talk to her, find out what's going on. So it was like we didn't have anything going on, so why not just do it? So we have a preliminary investigation, which we had at the time would be the case manager,
Yep.
the tech director, the assistant tech director, and another investigator. And we would go there, we would run recorders, we would take photographs, things of that nature, and we interview everyone out. Now, what we do differently than many other groups, using the police aspect of it, you separate everybody. You take them where they're not within earshot because you want to narrow down whether they're telling the truth or not, because they
Right.
tend to feed off one another. And then you bring everyone back in and you ask the same set of questions. After you've already rotated your group or your members to go out there and ask the same set of questions while they're separate, then bring it back in and see if there's anything keys up. And part of it, which was for us, we had actually found out that hey, this woman she's not lying. There's way too many things that's happening. So there was they mentioned that they had all these photographs of her husband had passed about a year or two before we did the investigation, and he died in the living room, which was basically where we're sitting. And there was two entrances into it, one from the hallway and one from by the front door. This one here is a light pattern. And it says and even the son said, well, if I could take your camera right now, take a photograph, and that light pattern will show up on it exactly like, and they were all pretty much the same way. Well, I gave him, never saw the man before in my life, never met these folks. I gave him my camera to use, and he goes, and I said, do it this way, and this way with the small cameras, and take your pictures. He did. He hands it back to me, and all of a sudden, this light pattern, VS, which was his first name and last name initials, appears in a light pattern on a beautifully polished, hardwood floor. So with that, we did a group EVP session. We had everybody accounted for, and then we closed it out, and we said, well, we'll get back with you as soon as we have everyone's schedules combined, where we can actually work on it, and we'll be contacting you. So we go outside. As we get in our vehicles, I get on the phone and I'm texting my tech director, and I said, follow me up to the McDonald's up on the highway. So we went up there. As soon as we get out, and nope, make sure everybody's together. We go in, we sit down. I said, okay, here, that's the camera around. I said, look at that photograph. Remember what he was saying about the light patterns and everything else?
Yep.
And I said, we're doing this case, in which we did. So the night we did it, we had 3 properties. They were all related. There was a slave quarters that was just the foundation was there, family cemetery on one part of the property, which is cousin across the street. His brother lived next door, and then they had the main house. During that time, we actually had numerous EVPs that came through there. So we actually reviewed the video.
Yep.
We had covered everything with weed stop fabric on the reflective material, the brass accoutrements over the fireplace. We actually, there was the main traffic coming up down the picture window. We covered that over. No light could have gotten in there.
Nice.
The way we set the camera up on a tripod, looking into the living room, you actually have to bump into it in order to get in there. This covered the doorway that came from the hallway. Well, there you saw the manifestation of a shadow figure. It comes in and then dematerializes.
Oh, wow.
20 minutes later, a partial apparition, like the upper half, came right towards the camera and then dissipated.
Wow.
We actually went back and about her claims about these angelic beings, and that was showing her. We went back. It was about 3 weeks for us to go through every single frame of the videos, going through every single of the audio, all the photographs, which I've reviewed a lot of the photographs myself. And then, so when we turned everything over to her, all the data,
Mm-hmm.
she almost broke down crying. It reaffirmed that, yeah, she's not crazy, and this actually was going on. So
Yeah,
we
it's
were at
scary.
Phenomenology up in Gettysburg. It was a great paranormal conference, And one of our good friends from another team came by, and we got talking, and she goes, "Did you hear about Mrs. Stevens?" I'm not going to mention her first name, but well, no. Do you know that she passed away? She actually passed away a month after we gave her all the data,
Ooh.
and that was a
Wow.
heartbreaker. And it really was. I
Yeah.
mean, it tugs at your heartstrings. I mean, and then, but over the years, I've actually reached back with her son and that, and we do talk from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
He still feels that there's something in the house, he's still there. But that was one of the more heartbreaking cases that there was, because
Yeah.
I guess we gave her a little peace, a little solace, because showing that she wasn't crazy.
Yeah. Well,
You know, so
it's
may
the
she rest
peace
in
of mind.
peace. I'll put it to
It's
you
the
that
peace
way.
of mind that sometimes people are looking for. It's just that stigma that just because you think you're seeing something, hearing something, that you think that you're people will think that you're crazy. Right? People, but it happens. It's I've had it happen myself,
Mhm.
and you question yourself. Am I seeing things? Did I just see that? And you got to trust yourself, because if you're crazy, it's happening all the time. It's when you're seeing it more sporadically, and it's not so mentally ill as it is. I find. I don't know. Do you do much? I know you're a big historian, which is absolutely fascinating, because I'm a forever a student in history. I volunteer myself at Rhode Island's premier military museum, which isn't our official Rhode Island State Military Museum, but it's a good one. But how much research do you do on a property before you investigate?
When we go through, I can tell you it could be days worth. I mean, basically,
Yeah,
being volunteers, when you're working a full time job,
I hear you, dude.
you go through a lot of the property title searches. You can do title
Hmm.
searches. You can do one thing I did right in my patrol area, and it's still there to this day. We have a USGS, United
Yep,
States Geological Service, to
yep.
find out through that area if what kind of makeup of the ground might be, if there's any kind, because we actually have decaying uranium through Maryland. That's the reason why it's one of the highest
Oh wow.
accounts for cancer, unfortunately. Radon is very prevalent here. Um, but we also have coal deposits in Western Maryland, things of that nature. But in certain areas, you have artesian wells, natural springs, which Catonsville is loaded with. Actually, this is where um, um, Frosty's root beer and 7 Up actually started here in Catonsville
Oh
using
wow.
that type of water. But
Hmm.
not to get off on a side note, but you start doing a lot of research on that. You go into archives of newspapers, local newspapers,
Hmm.
historic societies is what I go into. Um, you try to go into, you actually go up there and actually, I'll stop by whoever's working the beat, with local law enforcement. If
Hmm.
there's any kind of calls that might be strange calls that might come out, because they have everything's archived. I mean,
Yep.
everything, uh, to the everything on your computer, right in the car, and everything else.
Oh wow.
Um, that's some of the things that we work on. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of footwork, and a lot of, you might get, carpal tunnel, I guess, from writing down a lot of things, because there's certain historic societies, they won't allow us to use computers, so we have to
Hmm.
do the old pencil and pen or paper technique.
Right.
But it's rewarding. I mean, this is, you start narrowing things down at that point. Once you and we sit down with other members, and we go through everything what we found, and as that moves about, as far as setting up the time, the date to be able to do the investigation, you want to be able to go in there with your with your notes.
I sure
Okay,
do.
when they start giving you information, now you're comparing in live time, kind of a thing.
Hmm.
It might sound redundant, but it's always a CYA.
No,
That's what we
absolutely.
try to work with.
Absolutely. I had a library talk last week, and I was presenting an EVP that I captured. We were in a room. It was myself, two other investigators, and the homeowner, and we were using like a spirit box, and we're doing like an EVP session. Just it was just playing, and it said the name Mary, and they're like any Mary in the history. I had City of Providence keeps tremendous records, by the way. So I did some wonderful research, and I had a list of everybody who lived in that house. But no, there's no Mary in legal records. Nothing here. Nobody living here by the name of Mary. Maybe it was like a friend or something, whatever, or something, a passing. And after a few seconds, the homeowner turns to me. He's like, "Hey, my nana's name
Mhm.
was Mary." And next, like almost instantly, grandmother on the spirit box. So I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of coincidental." We start talking about his grandmother and EVP, clear as day. We were in the infant's room of the owner's house. An elderly woman's voice comes through. Let the baby sleep. Oh my god, dude! Like shit my pants, clear as day.
Mhm.
Awesome, awesome. You ever have one of
It's
those
shocking, isn't it?
like oh my god moments? Do you have that like oh my god evidence? Like I'm so glad this stuff never gets old. Let me
There,
just say that. But go ahead. Do you have those oh my god moments?
well, I
Oh,
tell you, I've had some moments. Let me tell you, it'd be like if you say, "Oh my God," all of a sudden, because it's like when it happens, sometimes it's hilarious. I'll tell you a hilarious thing. If Buddy Muncie's out there, it's been a long time since I've seen you. Hey, Bud, I hope you're doing well out there. Um, both of us were at the Shanley Hotel up in Napanoch, New York.
oh yeah,
So
yeah.
we
It's on
were
my
there
bucket list.
part of Mitch Silverstein's um, experiment.
Hmm.
We did that back over 10 years ago now, and so it was Buddy, me, Mike Lesdauskas. If he's watching, hope you all doing well. We were going up the staircase, going up to the brothel, and
Mm.
of course, I used to with my Confederate kepi, and I
Oh,
pull my
even better.
pants up, and kind of like, kind of that. It was because of Skeeter. That's my alter ego kind of a thing.
Hmm.
And going up there, you could hear, and this is part of my French, but I'm going to say exactly what this thing said on the recording. We're mentioning that it's now such and such time we're going up to the brothel, and then next thing you know, it goes, um, it's Buddy, Mike. Oh shit, it's Skeeter.
Hmm.
I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a
Full
minute.
sentence.
I have no name on my t-shirt, nothing else like this. I'm in my alter ego with the kepi and everything else. I'm going up the stairs, and all of a sudden it comes up there and mentions Skeeter, but didn't say, "Oh, it's Big Jim."
Yeah.
You know.
Hmm.
So we would go up there. We went to the different cribs that was up there, and we
Hmm.
started like we were actually paying customers. And so we basically brought the money out. I brought greenbacks out, put them out there, and just like would have
Hmm.
been done in the old days.
Nice.
And we got responses.
Hmm.
Role playing is a big thing. I learned that from John Sable, the ghost figure. I've done a lot of investigations with him
Uh-huh.
and his wife Mary. We done stuff up in Antietam together, and using the role play brings that out. And it kind of shocks you because they actually see you. They're interacting with you, but you can't see them or
Yep.
interact with them unless you're going through the recorders. And just to be able to, then we started doing recording live time with the recorders. That I actually have the headphones in there, have a recorder out there. You pick it up once in a while, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, that's not. I'm in here by myself. I'm at least, I'm on the other side of the building from somebody else, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden somebody's talking to me now that I can't see.
Yeah.
It can. I guess that's the reason why my hair's turned gray because it's kind of like, are you're questioning your own sanity sometimes. But you
Hmm.
go back and you start asking certain questions, or you do a certain role playing and you get into it deeper. It's incredible what comes out. I mean, I was kind of like doubting it, you know, but
Yep.
all of a sudden you start using that into practice, and that's what we do. Now we're not going to go in and provoke. I mean, that's
No.
for TV. You know,
Right.
everybody has their opinions on it, things like that.
Don't do it.
But when
Yeah.
we go into a private residence, you don't do any of that. And
No.
but you do if you want to do role play, and you find it to like say something that might have been where we did a business about 6 months ago
Hmm.
up in Harford County, which is northeast of Baltimore.
Yep.
And it was at a candy company, and they had shut down for the night. And going in there, and it was the original owners that started it. It was a basically grandma and grandpa type of operation, and they had a certain thing where the grandmother was at her desk,
Yep.
which is still there. Her cane is still hanging up on the nail. Her apron is still there. The
Oh,
grandfather's apron is in the basement because they used to have to take and use well water to mix
yep.
with the sugars and that to make the candies. And everything as of within it was almost like to the T. It was like every single day at the same time. Was tape playing? Don't know.
Yep.
But we did get interaction with it, especially with the sound of the grandmother walking with the cane in the store, going through the aisle. So basically, it was kind of the way it was an L-shaped display case that they had there with the other little chocolates and everything else there.
Hmm.
And this is where the same path where she would walk to go serve customers. So it was that right there kind of blew my mind. I mean, we're looking right at it until we had cameras there. And although we didn't capture anything on camera, visually, the EVP work that come out of that is incredible. Um, there are two things that we got from Antietam and Gettysburg. I want to send
Yep.
it to you. You got to give me your email, and
Oh, yeah.
I want you to listen with the one, and you're going to be surprised what comes out of that when we do the role play. And we did that with a big group with John Sable,
That's all.
probably that 13 years ago,
Where
and
in Gettysburg?
it's incredible. Let me tell you,
Where?
when you go through that, it's
So
up
where?
there on Little Round Top.
Oh yeah. Oh, awesome. That's fantastic. Great at sunset.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned
Yep,
Kim. You
we're
mentioned.
the 15th Alabama and the
Oh,
20th Maine.
that's great. 20th May. Yeah, great. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been to Gettysburg. God, at least like 25 times in my life. I've ghost investigated there. None. I'm a history guy. I'm a Rhode Island history guy. So Gettysburg is a great place to go. You mentioned September 17th, 1862, the bloodiest day in American history. You have investigated the battlefield of Antietam. Tell me about that, please. No?
It got broke up there. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. September 17th, 1862. You mentioned it. The Battle of Antietam. You investigated there. Did you get
Yes,
it? Tell me about that, please.
yes, yes, we did. We did Rohrbach Bridge or Burnside Bridge,
Yeah.
and we actually had it for 2 nights. We had a park ranger that set up in the parking lot, and we had the whole run down there. And we have gotten some things with John Sable. He actually wrote one of his books,
Hmm.
and you see me reading out a letter of the guys from Georgia that was going to there was about 300 Confederates from about Georgia was holding off over 10,000 guys from up north, the Union, and coming across that bridge, and then finally promised that I'll give you your rations of liquor or whatever it was. And then here's this one where they're going to do this charge, and it was and two investigators that was with us. They did the charge. All of a sudden, you saw this ball of light, and in that ball of light, it looked like the lost soldier that was up there, which we were trying to contact.
Wow.
Plenty of EVPs. We actually got gunshots up
Wow.
there. I've seen flashes of gunshots at Antietam, Gettysburg. Of course, up to the
Hmm.
south, if we say anything, it's Sharpsburg. But that's. But anyway,
Right.
but yeah, I've been to Monterey Battlefield where we actually had a lot of success in Virginia.
Hmm.
My great grandfather, who was at Point Lookout, he's buried on a battlefield in Princeton, West Virginia. It was a battle of
Awesome.
Pigeons Roost,
Yep. Yep.
and so I mean down there. So oh yeah,
That's it.
I mean
That's incredible.
there's plenty of it. If you go into a lot of this and you do the research, it's incredible,
Hmm.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I know a guy who's a historian. He never investigated. He was in Gettysburg a few years ago in late November, and he's like, "Buddy, I just gotta tell you, I was like on the southern side. I was on Confederate Row. I was walking through the canyons over by the Monument of Virginia, Robert E. Lee, one of the best on the whole battlefield. And
Hmm.
he's like, it looked like fireflies. It's like, wait, there's no fireflies. It's like
Hmm.
I'm seeing my own breath. He's like,
Not in November,
I
it
swear to
is.
God, I saw musket flashes. This is a reenactor. So he's like, I know what a musket looks like at night. He's like, I swear to God, those are musket flashes. I've never seen that. Whereabouts did you see it in Gettysburg?
Well, there's some things that out there. Oh, up there with that, right there at the Virginia, you're looking across, going over towards Steinway Avenue from
Yep,
Robert E. Lee's monument.
where my boys
That's
were.
where they
Yeah,
would have went for the high water marker or Pickett's
Pickett's
Charge.
Charge. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Pickett's Charge, I have a connection to that. I have a first
Awesome.
cousin, and you actually look him up on Find a Grave.
Hmm.
His name is Corporal Wyndham Randolph Carper.
Yep,
He was with the 11th Virginia Company D Fincastle Rifles. He was a
yep.
graduate of BMI. He was there at or I'm sorry, he was there at Gettysburg. Was with Pickett at Pickett Charge. Went across and he got shot in the head. That was a glancing blow. Of course, the German
Hmm.
side of me, my family, they were all known as hardheads anyway, because they were
Of
all
course.
coal miners.
Hmm.
And he survived. And 150 years later, I'm staying on the same spot where he got where he did the surrender and parole at Appomattox.
That's awesome.
That there since it sent chills down my spine
That's
to stand
amazing.
there. And even now, I'm
Right.
getting a little emotional about it because it's But I actually visited his grave in Fincastle, Virginia. I have a picture taken with his headstone. And his brother
Mhm.
was actually in the Confederate service. I mean, I had Union blood in my family as well. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
the Carpers, they were all they came through Philadelphia and Western Maryland and down into Virginia. Then when the war broke out, you had one portion of Whip that was now northern West Virginia, and then it goes over in Ohio, and then you had
Hmm.
the Confederate side that stayed down there below Roanoke.
Hmm.
Um, actually, the Tom Carper, who's the U.S. Senator from Delaware, is a distant cousin of mine.
Oh wow.
He is, yeah, right from that area. That's the family goes back, and also the one Carper actually married into when they came through Philadelphia, married into a family known as the Bordens,
Hmm.
which founded Borden Town, New
Yeah.
Jersey.
Oh
Well, I
yeah.
actually went further back and going into my genealogy and actually found out. Well, I actually did an investigation of that house up there in Fall River. That
Oh.
is Lizzie
Hmm.
Borden. She is one of my distant cousins.
Wow.
So I got not only do I have an axe murderer, a U.S. senator, but also have the Hatfields and McCoys in my
Oh
family
Jesus.
on
Wow. You're
my
spread out.
Underwood side. So that's
Look at you, man.
so there's a lot of the history that ties in with a lot of things like that. It'll blow your mind.
Your Fall River connection. So the show is The Ghost and the Goat, and the channel name is A Van Down by the Riv podcast. The Riv is what locals around here call Fall River, and our emblem. This is the Braga Bridge is in the windshield. The Braga Bridge is the bridge in Fall River that's supposedly the longest bridge in the world, but yeah, it's the bridge that connects Rhode Island. Well, it connects Massachusetts. Really, it's over goes over Fall River. So that's my connection with my co-host who hasn't been on in a few months. He's from the Fall River, the Riv, if you will, area. So it's kind of a tribute to him, and and the good people of Fall River. Funny facts. Another fun like coinky dink between yourself and myself. You're a cemetery preservationist. I have volunteered with many people here around Rhode Island that go out and preserve cemeteries. It's actually absolutely atrocious what people will do to like destroy and unmemorialize the past. Do you do any family stuff? Do you do any like veterans? I'm always drawn to the veterans' graves, to be honest with you. Do anyone Civil War related? Anything like that? Oh boy, internet. Did you hear any of that?
And it's like it's sorry about that.
It's in and out. Yeah.
I heard bits and pieces. Sorry, it's
All
the
right.
internet
So
again.
yeah, it's my connection.
But
Cemetery preservation. Can you tell me anything about that? Anything about what you've been doing with that?
Yeah, I have an old YouTube channel which I lost control over, but on there I have some of the videos that I've shot here in Maryland and also up in across the Mason-Dixon line. You know, go up there and for a lot of the cemetery preservation, we have one called Lost Maryland. Also Cemetery Chronicles, which actually shows Spring Grove State Hospital cemetery. I have Explore Quest America, which is another one you can check out. I actually have a second channel on YouTube, which I'll be uploading some of the older stuff, and also I'm going to be producing a lot more new content as far as with cemetery preservation. We try to save a lot of these from development because a lot of the cemeteries, a lot of the memorials and that are being destroyed. They'll just throw them into a landfill. I mean, even though if there's no physical descendants that are willing to step up and actually pay for the transfer to a new site, everything gets bulldozed. And this happened at the high school where I went. There was a house servant cemetery that's under the parking lot of the high school. It's been documented. They have wooden headstones which was deteriorated. They just simply went in there and paid over everything. So I mean, it's a lot. I mean, here in this town, I've documented over 21 cemeteries, not including the ones that they're just up there near Ellicott City, which is a little town up near where I currently live. And you know, working with that cemetery preservation, you know, you have to preserve your past, regardless, good, bad, or indifferent. This is what made America.
Yep.
I mean, you know, we all have our different differences and disagreements, but you can't change the past. You have to learn from it. And it doesn't mean that it's just one side is going to tell the story. You know, everyone needs to do their own research. That's what I keep telling everybody. And, you know, I mean, I have a passion for a lot of things. And, you know, this is just one of them. I mean, I got into it when I was a child, you know, learning from my mother and going to the family cemeteries, going there. You know, I remember going up to one cemetery. It was in West Virginia when I used to live down there. Literally grabbing tree to tree to go up the side of this hill because the original road was pretty much all grown so thick. And you get there and you go up there and you're pulling weeds and you're looking for the headstones. And you get a lot more information than those headstones than you would find in either the family Bible or, you know, the historic societies.
Yep.
And but these people, you know, their stories need to be told. I mean, that's what we try to do. I mean, you know, especially like down here at Spring Grove State Hospital, we replaced one of the headstones. It was a 30-year journey for this gentleman of mine. His name is Jimmy Jackson. His grandmother was Nancy Jackson, Nancy Celia Jackson. Actually, we're distantly related. My mother was actually her caregiver at Spring Grove back in the time when she passed. She was only there for about a month because she had it was just Alzheimer's, and she got buried on Spring Grove property. Had one of the few markers. It was only a simple brick with a small aluminum plate, which had Nancy Jackson and had the date of her death. And 55 years from the day that she passed, here we were putting a new headstone he brought from Kentucky and put it there. But it was because of the video that I shot. That's how I got contacted. It's humbling, to be able to take and that somebody actually found out, they've been lied to from the state of Maryland, telling them that their grandmother was cremated or it isn't buried on the property, but yet we have physical evidence it was there. It was just there was just a few, actual headstones.
Yeah.
The other parts just one big potter's field because they would actually play baseball on top of who they just buried. Matter of fact, Reggie Jackson beat the Spring Grove team playing for Johnny's Used Cars. In 1964, he hit the game-winning grand slam to take the Maryland title at Spring Grove. Al Kaline played there as well. So there's been numerous ones. I mean, but they're playing on top of patients' graves, and they don't even know it. But during the wintertime, you can actually see where the divots are, where the grass dies back.
Yep.
And so we're, to try to save those places. These are sacred places. Whether you think that they might not have been worthy of life, some people have actually said that, which I pretty much would give them a 5-finger death punch to the throat. Trust me. But just like with these, many of these families, they deserve to rest in peace. And I've been trying to be one of their advocates for it.
Amen, man. It's a beautiful cause. I try to do it when I can with local groups around here in Rhode Island. There's like cemeteries that are like right up against people's back, right up against the back of people's houses, because they didn't like look at the cemetery when they were building the goddamn house. Like, come on, dude. It's historic cemetery. Like, just a little bit of respect, a little bit of appreciation. I don't know, just something, a little bit of brain up there in that head. Is there anything you'd like to plug, Jim, before we wrap up tonight? Anything that you guys are doing? Anything you put out there for people to see? Anything?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit again. Sorry
about that. Is there anything that you'd like to plug? Anything that you
modern technology? I can tell you.
Maybe people can see you on another podcast coming soon, where the whole show isn't being skipping. Anything you want to plug tonight, Jim, before we wrap up?
Yeah, I guess I'll just wing it from here because with this speed and all. But yeah, if anybody wants to reach out with me, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as the Big Jim Jones with 2 G's. That comes from when I tried to take down a door, serving a warrant, 14 whacks on my shoulder, and I could have walked around back and got the guy at the back door. So that they misspelled my name, Big Jim. So I'm down to 1 G. So I guess, losing some weight there. I just took that 1 G off with my new profile because I got the platform back in December 2021. But yeah, I'm on there. I'm also on several other social media platforms. I mean, I'm on Wimkin. I'm on Cloud Hub, a couple of other ones out there. Although those right there, I tell my political stuff, but outside of, if you want to keep in contact, do it through Facebook, Instagram. I do have X. I mean, I have an older account that I've gotten back into, and I do some other stuff it's going to be on there. It's not going to be as political, but it's you have to go through the cop humor and the cop talk, and you'll see who I am. But I mean, other than that, I have the things on there with YouTube, which I'll be working with my 2 channels with Big Jim Jones, BIGG. You can find me there. I'll be doing some of the stuff you look for. You can type in Lost Maryland, the Cemetery Chronicles, Explore Quest America. A lot of slideshow videos, but also it's information for guys. If you're going to be doing some volunteer work, if you have a paranormal group, the best thing to do is go out there and clean up a cemetery. That's what we do with Spring Grove State Hospital. We actually take care of the patients' graves down there. And so it's give back to the community, give back to help people out here. We'll go and we have many other things that we get into to give back. Volunteer, and so if you want to get in contact with me, contact me through Facebook with the 1 Big G. And like I said, I can send me a private message. If you want to talk to me over the phone, I'll give you my phone number over a private chat. And but again, but if you ever get a chance to come down, buddy, again, let me know if you're going to be coming to Gettysburg. It only takes me about 45 minutes to get there, and I'll
I'm
show you
coming
some
next
places
year.
where people don't go.
I'm coming next year. I'm coming to the bash next year.
Not there.
So,
Well,
yeah,
well,
definitely.
we'll come to the bash, and and I'll tell you what, we'll go to the Daniel Lady Farm, and
Oh,
we're going to do a role play there. And make sure you have plenty of recorders. Let me tell you something. When you start doing a lot of the surgeries there, tell me what you hear. It's
yeah.
going to blow your mind because we did some things out there. So I'll take you around a couple places, and also
That's
there
that's
was
great,
a
Jim.
battle that took place just before Gettysburg. And it was
Yep.
called Battle of Corpus Charge in Westminster, Maryland.
Yes, sir.
And there's some places down there that go along with that's where Jeb Stewart went up there. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of stuff that you can cover here, and plus we also have War of 1812,
Yeah.
Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
different things happen here. French
Yep.
and Indian Wars. I mean, we have a lot of history in Maryland, and
7
of course
years. Yeah.
with actually
Yeah.
Gettysburg, believe it or not, was part of Baltimore County. Well,
Wow.
Baltimore County actually that was Gettysburg was once part of Baltimore County until the Penns and the Calverts and the Crosslands, which is my family. The Crossland arms is on the Maryland flag, with the Botany Cross.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, there's been a war. I mean, it was doesn't matter. I mean, we've been a warring bunch down here below the Mason-Dixon line for years. So,
Oh, for
but
sure.
anyway,
For sure.
we'll welcome you Yankees coming down.
Oh,
No
dude, I can't wait.
disrespect. That's the way it is.
Not at all. Not at all. I love you, son. But you guys have wonderful
But,
charm. So and hospitality, absolutely. And you're much better drivers than we are up here. So I'd like to thank
I wouldn't
Jim
know if
Jones.
you grew up in Baltimore. So
Yeah, I do like Baltimore's a lovely city, dude. I went there in January, watched my Dolphins get crushed by the Ravens, and I went to the local breweries. I went to Inner Harbor. I went to Fort McHenry. I sang the Star Spangled Banner. It's a beautiful city as long
mhm.
as you stay in the right areas. I went to Poe's Grave. I stayed right behind Camden Yards, a beautiful stadium. Um, Beautiful city, Baltimore. I'd go back and watch my Dolphins get annihilated again.
It is, and every city has its problems.
Yeah, of course.
But let me tell you that the big thing around here is coming back is Natty Boh. That's National Bohemian Beer. It's kind of
Ooh.
everybody says it's Pabst Blue Ribbon is better than that. Well,
Mm.
each your own. If you're eating crabs in Maryland, you're going to have a Natty Boh go along with it, just like you have up there. Wachusett's Brewery up there in Massachusetts.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Oh, I
the
like watching it.
blueberry ale
Great,
is,
great beer,
yeah.
dude.
I'll
I had a
leave it
re-
at that.
Oh
That's for
God,
another day.
they have such good beer. But anyway, yeah. I digress. So I'll have to bring you some Massachusetts in July next year at in Gettysburg. I'd like to thank you, Jim, for the skippiness and for holding in, and you're a really great guest. Tune into everything that Big Jim does. He's a historian. He's a lovely guitar maker. And he's a paranormal investigator allegedly. Next week we have a very interesting show. An interesting guest. It's election night here in America. I'm not going to share political views or any of that crap on this show. While I am very politically minded, this is not the place for it. But yeah, tune in. We'll have more great content, and I'll keep you informed throughout the evening. I'll be like, hey, this one's winning or that one's winning. Like this evening. Hold on a second. Last time I checked, it was it's the bottom of the fourth, and the Evil Empire is. I don't think you can even see that. Yeah, they're up. They're up. They're up 5-2. Ah, damn them Yankees. Let's go Dodgers. For Big Jim, I'm Buddy Thayer. This has been the Ghost and the Goat. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great week.